Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. With me today is Lauren Marsicano. She is our resident attorney, lawyer, expert on everything legal. I'm Erin Holloway, also known as the Mama Bear of crypto. Lauren is going to spend the next 20 to 25 minutes talking to us and imparting her expertise with us. But a little bit about Lauren now. She is featured in many publications and medias. She's been featured in Business Insider, Yahoo Finance. She's been on ABC, NBC. She's an attorney. She's a networking and business growth expert and a nonprofit founder. She helps female entrepreneurs build and protect their queendoms. I love that, Lauren. Now she serves as outside general counsel for business owners who want an attorney with Fortune 100 experience at cost-effective rates. She's also the founding partner of the Miami-based boutique law firm, Marsicano and Leva, PLLC, and she's worked with global Fortune 100 companies like Bank of America. She assists professionals around the globe and provides motivational keynotes as well as practical advice for entrepreneurs and professionals to help them grow. She also launched the nonprofit Women for Success in 2020, which was earlier than she originally planned. She saw that the pandemic forced many people, especially women and mothers, to make drastic changes and adapt in this continually changing environment. And she acted quickly to found and launch this nonprofit. Lauren, welcome. We are so excited to hear what you've got to share with us and teach us. The floor is now yours.
Woo! Thank you so much, Erin. And I always like to play a little music before we start, get you moving. I know this is a 4-day conference. We had some VIP tickets. Lisa's always putting together some amazing tweets. We want to get loose. We want to get in the mood to level up our lives, to level up our businesses. Ooh, we're going to be talking about contracts. Every woman needs to know these contracts, needs to know these foundational elements for your business. Woo! And we're going to be here together for about the next 20 minutes, like Erin said, talking about the top contracts that you need to know about your business. I'm Lauren Marsicano, your business law attorney, confidence queen, and founder of the nonprofit Women for Success. I'm very excited to be with you here at Female Disruptors again, second year in a row. Love talking with everyone, all the business owners I've met from here. And we're going to be talking about legal docs every woman needs to know. And just a little caveat before we get started, this presentation is for educational purposes only and is not legal advice. Always consult an attorney about your unique situations, #lawyered. And now that we have that out of the way, you heard Erin gave a bit about my background, and I'm not going to go too far into it. Hopefully, if you don't know me, you're going to get to know me over the next 20 minutes, and you can always reach out to me on Instagram at networkingmaverick. It's me in the DM, so you don't have to worry about it being some kind of manager. It's me. I respond to you. I love connecting with self-identifying women in business. This has been my journey. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, just like you. And the reason that I do public speaking, the reason I talk about building your businesses, protecting them, and turning them into queendoms is because that's what I've done. And I'm on a mission to make more women millionaires and billionaires. Woo! Yes. Because with more money, we get more power. That's just how it is in this world until it changes. And that is my mission. And I love working with queens, no matter whether it's through Marsicano and Leva, our law firm, Networking Maverick, or Women for Success, where we throw business showers for women launching businesses. If you're in the South Florida area, we have an event on January 30th. Come on out. But I had a journey, right? I had all my benchmarks met, but I didn't feel fulfilled yet, right? I did Oxford, check, got into Law, check, graduated, top of my class, passed the bar first time, check. Then I got the big law job working for Fortune 100 companies, check, 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 check. But I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I had some queens in my circle sit me down and say, you know why? Because you need to launch your own business. And I said, what? Is it crazy to launch your own business? Maybe. It's going against the grain for sure. That's why we throw business showers for women choosing a non-traditional path. And ever since then, we made 6 figures our first year. And I've been named top 40 under 40 lawyer in the nation by the American Bar Association, Florida Super Lawyers, Rising Star. And I have all my business babies. So how do you build and scale a six-figure startup? Well, I always say first, you have to have the framework, the foundational elements of your queendom, because if your queendom is built on a shaky foundation, it's going to crumble, right? So this is the old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I always say, if you want to go fast and far, you need to invest in yourself and your business. For the VIPs, if you sign up for the VIP ticket, you've already invested in yourself. Right? That is the first step to investing, to getting your circle surrounded by people that have been there first. So GPS is the groundwork, protection, and systems. I'm just going to go over it very briefly. Groundwork, these are the steps. I believe there's 7. Yes, 7 steps to startup success that you need to make sure you've gone through in the groundwork for your business. Choosing a business entity, research and choosing a business name, proper formation. Did you get your EIN number from the IRS? A lot of acronyms there. Did you get a business bank account? Separate them, because you want that liability shield. No matter where you are in the US, usually having the liability shield for your business comes down to, do you treat your business like a piggy bank, or have you separated it out? You made it, you put the big girl pants on it, you put a ring on it, got its own business bank account, EIN number, everything, separated those funds. Make sure you have your licenses and permits, you're paying your business taxes, and then there's ongoing yearly requirements that you have to upkeep. When you're choosing a business comparison, a business entity, I created this little comparison chart. This just goes over it very briefly. Essentially, sole proprietorship is the least formal, and S corporations and C corporations are more formal. Nonprofits, even more layers, because your tax exempt status, there are things you have to upkeep within your state and the IRS. A lot of people choose an LLC. It may or may not be right with you, right for you in your circumstances. Usually S corporations, US citizens, less than 100 people, right? You have a lot of corporate formalities that you need to keep up with, either a C or an S. Partnerships, sole proprietorships, you usually don't have to register those. LLCs are the hybrid. They're the hybrid entity that a lot of people go with. Again, always consult an attorney about your situation to make sure you have that groundwork, protection, and systems in place, right? The protection, we're going to talk about the 3 main ingredients of your protection: operating agreement, confidentiality agreement, an NDA, a non-disclosure, and an independent contractor agreement. That's how you're going to protect your queendom. For LLCs, and I go over LLCs for an operating agreement, if you have a C or an S corporation, it's going to be called bylaws, but they're essentially very similar in their process to set them up. Corporations are obviously going to be a lot more complex, usually have shareholders, maybe different levels of shareholders and owners in the company. LLCs are what most people come to me for in Florida. I'm a Florida attorney. Again, double check in your state, but usually the generalities for operating agreements with LLCs, whether you're in all 50 states or you're operating in the US, it's basically the contract on how you're going to run your business, right? And you don't want to make the mistake by thinking, oh, I'm just a single member, I don't need this. Well, if you ever want to get some investor funding, and let me tell you, let me just go on my little soapbox, my little royal soapbox for a minute. Women-led teams outperform male teams, their male counterparts, by 65%. Female founders have 35% more ROI for their investors. But women-led groups, women founders, only get 2.4% of VC funding. And why is that? Because a lot of women are not taking their businesses as seriously as the fakers in Silicon Valley do, because we know they're fake, because they say they're going to do a lot of things, they get millions of dollars, and then they go to jail or have to flee the country, right? So you have a great business. You need to invest in it. That's what we were talking about before, investing in your protection. Operating agreements are very important, because if you ever want to get a grant, usually sometimes with bank accounts, if you ever want to get investors, or you ever want to bring on a new part owner, you want to sell a portion of your business, like on Shark Tank or something, you need to have an operating agreement. And I've had people come to me after they lost a 6-figure investment and say, hey, they said I didn't have my proper corporate documents. They didn't have an operating agreement. They had been doing business for 4 or 5 years without a proper operating agreement in place. And someone's not going to want to invest in you and give you their money if they don't feel like you're going to protect the money. Why are we giving you money if you're not even protecting the money? If you're not investing in yourself, we're not going to give you money to burn. So you definitely need this, especially if you want to keep the liability protection. And when I talk about that, usually in the US, The reason for doing an LLC or a corporation or a business entity is because you want to separate the liabilities, people suing your company, from your personal assets. So we call it a liability shield, and it's a corporate veil of protection. In some states, if you treat your business like a piggy bank, your own personal piggy bank, if you don't separate it, you don't have your separate operating agreement, business bank account, all of those things, there's different levels within each state, they can pierce the corporate veil and then get to your personal assets. So operating agreements are the first line of defense. You should look in your state. They probably have a limited liability company act similar to Florida. And if you don't have an operating agreement, it defaults to the statutes, but that's not great because some of those rules in there you don't want. You can edit some of them, right? The operating agreement allows you to determine with yourself, your other owners, your investors, how this company is going to act. And if you don't have it, if you don't have an operating agreement in place, it looks extremely unprofessional. And it probably means you didn't actually sit down to do a business plan either in most cases. So that's like the first line of defense and the first thing that people look for when they're looking at your business. The second main type of contract is an independent contractor agreement. This became even more popular during the pandemic because the W-2 full-time employees went out the window and people wanted to be remote workers and manage their own time. Independent contractors do work for your business, right? And if you treat them less independently and more like an employee, depending on what state you're in, you could be misclassifying them as independent contractors and you can get hit with a lot of fines. One of the best ways to avoid this is making sure your independent contractors have their own business, their own LLCs, and you're contracting with the LLC as an independent contractor. And it's the LLC's job to make sure whoever they're sending to you to do the work or giving you to do the work abides by your state laws. These contractor agreements are there in place to even be another layer to say, yes, hey, state agency or IRS, these are independent contractors. Look, here's the agreement. These are also really important because you need to know and set forth how you're working with your contractors. Some people think that they can just treat their contractors like employees, bring them in from 9 to 5, control all their hours, control the work, and that is not the case. Right? We want to make sure we avoid that. You need to give them a little bit more independence because they are independent contractors, but setting forth what you want in terms of a relationship with this contractor is extremely important. And it gives you the time, the fees, it sets out how they're going to be doing the work, the responsibilities of each party. And you might want to be able to put in there some other little restrictive covenants, which gets us into non-disclosure agreements. So if you want to DM me at Networking Maverick, I'll be happy to send you a copy of these slides. If I know I put text on there, I don't go through everything because I want you to focus on what I'm saying and not necessarily read on the screen. So I'll be sending these to you if you slide into my DMs at Networking Maverick. So don't worry. Non-disclosure agreement. When we talk about restrictive covenants, we need confidentiality. If you have any sort of systems or processes in place that set you apart from other businesses, you need to protect those, right? So we need a confidentiality or non-disclosure agreement. Most people think of NDAs when they think of like movie stars that give NDAs to go on dates with them or something. You've heard the salacious gossip and details. Well, NDAs are an actual legal document. So when you're bringing in a contractor, if you're bringing in a new vendor, if you're even bringing in an employee or just someone to work temp, like a volunteer or an intern, if they're getting a look at your clients, if they're getting to meet them or talk to them, if they're talking with your employees, if they're learning your systems, any proprietary information, you want to make sure they can't use it or sell that information, right? So a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement is super, super important. And it's one people really don't think they need, right? They'll go to the operating agreement and independent contractor agreement. Within that, we can add in non-disclosure clauses and confidentiality clauses, maybe even a non-compete, right? But with people other than your contractors that you're bringing in, employees, vendors, potential partners, anyone that you're going to let look at your books of business, you want to have a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement. And you really want to make sure you have enforcement mechanisms because you want to be able to prevent them from selling it. You want to be able to enforce that in court. And depending on what state you're in, you might want to redline it where they can bring it back into a reasonable time, manner, and place restriction, which is sometimes how they evaluate again, depending on your state. Independent contractors being able to sign and enforce non-competes against them. So make sure that you're looking into an NDA for anyone that's getting a look behind the curtain. Don't leave your IP, any of your intellectual property open. Make sure you're protecting those trade secrets, because if you don't actively try to protect them, you lose the benefit of your trade secrets, right? And those are things that you've built up over time. And especially you don't want them to be able to solicit employees or contractors or clients that they've come in contact with. So those are the top three: independent contractor agreements, operating agreements, and a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement. They're very, very important for your business. And again, I've had people come to me too late, where they lost a six-figure investment because they didn't have these types of protections in place, right? So you had the groundwork, you got the protection. Make sure you also have the systems in place to protect your business. Right? What these are not just systems that I'm talking about, are not just apps, right? Apps are great and you can streamline a lot with apps, but systems are also people. The processes you're putting in place with those people that you're delegating to, hopefully delegating, because that's how we scale our queendoms. That's how we make more money. We get the 7 to 10 streams of income coming in so we can be the millionaire and billionaire lifestyle. But if you're not having the systems in place, you're not going to be able to delegate properly. You're probably not going to be as efficient, and you're losing money down the pipeline. So when we think about delegating, anything that you're not good at and do not like, there's an Eisenhower box that people teach in business school. Essentially, if you're not good at it and you do not like it, that is called a highly delegable task, right? So I think one that comes on the top of my head: social media for people. Some people are not good at it and they just don't like it. And that's okay. Show up authentically as you somewhere else, a networking event, in your systems, in your business. But on social media, that's a highly delegable task, right? There's social media people you can meet. I have a great team that helps me. Again, it's me in the DMs if you talk to me, because that's how I like to show up. I actually like social media. I might not be great at it. I'm not the greatest ever, but I do like it. I like connecting with people. So that's something that I like, but I delegate the parts of it that I don't. So we have the groundwork. Make sure you're going through the groundwork, getting that solid foundation. The protection, those contracts we talked about: operating agreement, independent contractor agreement, confidentiality, non-disclosure agreement, maybe with some other restrictive covenants sprinkled in, like a non-compete, non-solicitation, non-disparagement. Make sure you get the protection in place. And then you have the systems. So that's all part of the GPS framework to guide you in the right direction for success. This is a very streamlined version of a talk I give at many different conferences and business events, because these are the highlights. These are the juicy bits that you want. But again, if you slide into my DMs, you can always reach out to me at Networking Maverick and we can discuss more, or I can come talk to your group. This is the Eisenhower box that we talked about. It doesn't have social media in there. Checking social media, they have as delete. That's why, you know, this is old, right? Because sometimes for your business, you need to check that social media, but you can delegate that. You can delegate those tasks. I want to let you know about a little offer we're giving to you for being here as part of the Female Disruptors. Our on-call biz law package allows me to work as your outside general counsel. If you're outside of Florida, it can be as your business advisor, essentially, where you can have me on call throughout the year. It's something that gives you affordable advice, affordable business advice, for me to come to you via Zoom, or if you need in Florida, and have someone on your side. This is what it includes. It's $11,000 in value. We also have past recordings. We have monthly updates. We have talks with everyone in the group. You get unlimited quick questions via email, things I can answer in less than 10 minutes. And one template is for people outside of Florida, and a contract would be for people inside of Florida. But anything up to a $2,000 value, plus 2 hours where you can speak to me throughout the year. And usually this is $2,000 per year, or $197 per month. But this week only, for the next 7 days, if you send me an email, lauren@networkingmaverick.com or lm@mlsquare.com, or slide into my DMs and say female disruptor, then you get half off of that. So it's only $997 annual for the next 7 days, which is $85 a month, which is great. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to have a little bit of Q&A now. And again, slide into those DMs. I always want to meet you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That was really, really helpful. I think a lot of people just don't even know where to start. So I think laying out those basics and then knowing that they've got you as a potential person to help them as they get started on their journey is fantastic. So thank you so much. Attendees, should you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll wait a minute or two to see if anything pops up. And while we're waiting, Lauren, tell me about the at Networking Maverick sign behind you.
Oh, yeah. So that's just so, I said I was a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Essentially, this is my online persona. When we launched our law firm 7 years ago, there's restrictions on what lawyers can and can't, advertise. So I thought, how can I get our message out there and help women and help them build businesses without it being as my law firm? And since we made 6 figures our first year, something that a lot of people reached out to me about was, how are you networking and making money? Because they see me everywhere and they're there, but they're not making the money that I'm making. And growing up, I moved around the country 15 times. I was always the new girl. I had a lot of bullying that I had to overcome, and I had to learn how to make friends and build relationships, which is really what networking is all about. So networking, because it's building relationships authentically. Maverick, because I was born in Dallas, so we have the Dallas Mavericks. My high school mascot was a Maverick. And I also love Goose and Maverick from Top Gun. And I know that came out again recently. And they didn't invite me to the premiere, which I'm very upset about, but I understand, I get it. But that's why Networking Mavericks are people doing things differently, blazing their own trail, especially if you've seen like The Tipping Point, read the books and stuff like that. They talk a little bit about it. But yeah, so that's what Networking Maverick is all about, building community.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's what we're all about here at Female Disruptors. That's for sure.
Whoop, whoop. I know, that's why I always love being a part of this. Lisa puts this together. This is the 2nd year in a row. Amazing, amazing people and lots of value. So I love being a part of it.
Well, thank you so much. Looks like we don't have any questions today. Lauren Marsicano, thank you so much for your expertise. Those of you in the audience, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next session.
Bye, Queen.